President. Mr. President, why are U.S. dependents being authorized to leave the Middle East? Say it. Why are U.S. dependents of military personnel being authorized to leave the Middle East? I have to say thank you.
This is my video update on this Thursday afternoon, June the 12th, coming to you from Athens, Greece. Let's talk about some news. And the big story that we have to talk about is the possible war in Iran. Israel is saying that they are ready to strike at Iran's nuclear facilities. The United States, they are evacuating military personnel or families of military personnel, as well as embassy staff from the region, from the Middle East, from various bases and embassies across the Middle East. And we could be heading into a big war. Israel hitting Iran, then the United States, of course, getting pulled in to this war. And you have a regional war, then you have what could be a world war. Very, very dangerous escalation over the past 24 hours. And this is not about nuclear facilities. That's nonsense. This is about regime change in Iran. That's what this is all about. A standard neocon regime change operation. Standard neocon regime change operation. An SNRCO. Standard neocon regime change operation. That's what this is. No different than weapons of mass destruction, or Assad has chemical weapons, so he has to go, or Saddam has to go because he has weapons of mass destruction. Now it's Iran is building a nuke, so we have to do something. We have to attack the nuclear facilities, which is basically a pretext to attack Iran and to try to get some sort of a toppling of the Iranian government or something like that. That's what this is all about, and it's all meant to, this escalation, these threats and warnings of coming from Netanyahu about hitting Iran. It's all about pulling the United States into this regime change operation, the Trump administration at least, into this regime change operation. If you work on the assumption that Trump does not want a conflict with Iran, you have to work under the assumption, because you could say that the Trump administration, definitely parts of the Trump administration, do want a war with Iran. Does Trump, the president, want a war with Iran? According to Axios, and this is according to Axios, is reporting from 2 days ago, Trump spoke with Netanyahu and told Netanyahu, don't you dare strike at Iran, at least not while I'm negotiating with Iran on the nuclear deal. This is according to Axios, but yesterday you had Trump speaking on Iran, saying that he's not so confident about a nuclear deal being made. He said that something changed with Iran. I don't even know what that means. Something changed with Iran. Maybe something changed with Trump, not so much with Iran. I don't know. But you have the mainstream, collective West mainstream media getting on board with a strike on Iran. The Washington Post put out an article with the title, U.S. shrinks presence in Middle East amid fears of Israeli strike on Iran. U.S. embassies and military bases across the region are on high alert. Reuters was reporting that the United States is evacuating staff from embassies and military bases. Actually, Iraq came out with a statement. Iraq came out with a statement saying that Reuters' reporting is not true. And then we had some clarifying statements from the United States saying that not all of the embassy staff is being evacuated, and embassies are not closing, but various non-essential embassy staff is being evacuated. The Trump White House has not said anything about publicly. They have not issued an official statement about the reports that Israel will be striking Iran any day now. So is Trump, is he trying to put more pressure on Iran when he comes out and says that he's not so confident about a deal and that something with Iran has changed? Is this just some sort of a negotiating tactic? We'll find out this weekend, I guess, what exactly is going on, because on Sunday, Witkoff is going to be meeting with the Iranian foreign minister. At least that's what's being scheduled. That's what's been scheduled. There are reports which claim that this meeting is going to be canceled, but this would be the 6th round of talks between the United States and Iran, and we're at a technical level. These are technical talks. You know, the statements from Witkoff and from the Iranian foreign minister just a month ago were very positive. Everything is going well. The talks are going well. We're heading into the 6th round of technical talks, which means that they're just sitting down to get into the technical details of this nuclear enrichment deal. And 3 days before Witkoff is going to sit down with the Iranian foreign minister, we have this massive warning of escalation, of all-out war, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about all-out war between Israel and Iran, and between the United States and Iran, and that will turn into a regional war. And Iran is not alone. Iran has enemies, but it has many friends, and it's now also a part of BRICS. So we're so close to a deal, so freaking close to a deal. Trump posted on Truth Social the other day that Russia is possibly or probably can help out in a nuclear deal with Iran, which is absolutely true. Russia can play a key role, or is playing a key role in getting a nuclear deal with Iran. If Russia helps the Trump administration and the United States on Iran, that would be a huge deal when it comes to the normalization of ties between the United States and Russia. That probably freaks out the neocons as well. They're probably looking at this and saying, you know what, if we can get a war with Iran, and if we can get Trump on board with a war with Iran, not only do we get to go after Iran, which is something they've been wanting to do, a regime change with Iran for the last 20, 30 years, maybe more than that, but they can also sabotage any type of normalization that's taking place between Russia and the United States. Two birds with one stone. Iran's been on the list for regime change since that list of 7 countries from Wesley Clark. Yeah, 7 countries, and I believe Iran is the last one on that list of 7 countries. The last one left for regime change. So Hegseth was speaking to the Senate yesterday, and Hegseth, according to Senator Cotton, who's a neocon warmonger, Senator Cotton said that Pete Hegseth confirmed that Iran is actively working towards a nuclear weapon. Cotton posted on X, today's Secretary of Defense confirmed that Iran's terrorist regime is actively working towards a nuclear weapon. For the sake of our national security, the security of our allies, and millions of civilians in the region, this cannot be allowed to happen. It's a load of bullocks. It's about regime change, not about nuclear weapons or anything like that. It's all about regime change for neocons like Cotton and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and all of these guys. And we're so close to a deal. Witkoff is so close to getting a deal done. And everyone's on board for a deal. If you removed the neocons from the equation, if you removed Netanyahu and the neocons from the equation, if Trump was able to do that, then this would be the easiest deal in human history. For a deal maker, for the master deal maker that Trump says he is, this is a slam dunk, super duper easy deal to negotiate with Iran. Everyone is perfectly aligned when it comes to the core issue. Iran does not want nuclear weapons. They're on record saying they do not want to go down the road of nuclear weapons. The United States, the Trump administration, says Iran cannot get nuclear weapons. The entire region, Saudi Arabia, all the countries in the region, say no nuclear weapons for Iran. Russia is on record saying Iran should not get nuclear weapons. Everyone is in agreement. Everyone is in freaking agreement here. So we'll wait, see what happens this weekend. Hopefully we get that meeting, I believe on Sunday, between Witkoff and the Iranian foreign minister. If we can get that meeting between Witkoff and the Iranian foreign minister, and it has not been canceled by the time I upload this video, maybe it's already been canceled. But if we can get that meeting, then I think we are out of the woods for now. But every time there's a negotiation, there's an escalation to try and get some sort of a wider conflict going. Just like what happened with the Istanbul talks last week, a little more than last week. We had the Istanbul talks taking place on a Sunday, and what did we get? We got the Zelensky regime, with the help of neocons, with the help of, according to Russia, with the help of the UK. And what did Lavrov say? The inertia of the United States and the UK. They were behind the airfield attacks and then the terrorist attacks against the passenger trains just a day before the Istanbul talks. And here we are. We're 3 days away from the 6th round of talks between Witkoff and the Iranian foreign minister. And we're talking about airstrikes into Iran. So Trump, he posted on Truth Social that he's got a deal with China. Trump got a tariff trade deal with China, he says. And he posted, one second, on Truth Social, our deal with China is done, subject to final approval. With President Xi and me, full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied up front by China. Likewise, we will provide to China what was agreed to, including Chinese students using our colleges and universities, which has always been good with me. We are getting a total of 55% tariffs. China is getting 10%. Relationship is excellent. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then Trump posted another message on Truth saying, adding to the China readout, President Xi and I are going to work closely together to open up China to American trade. This would be a great win for both countries. It's interesting that he calls his Truth Social posts readouts. What Trump posts on Truth Social have become official White House readouts. So a deal has been done, according to Trump, between the United States and China. No official statement from China yet. China has said that they have agreed on a framework to a trade deal. The United States has said, what's his name? Lutnick. He has said that they have agreed to a framework, and now what's left is for Trump to meet with Xi Jinping so that they can finalize this deal. But we do not have the actual framework published. We haven't had an official statement from China. We haven't had an official statement from the United States either, from the White House. What we do have is the president posting on Truth Social, which he says is a type of readout to the negotiations that are taking place between the United States and China. The reports that we are getting from these negotiations is that basically the framework has not changed since the first meeting, which was a little over a month ago. Same deal between the United States and China, with one key difference. This is what much of the media is reporting. One key difference from a month ago, and that is that Trump had to make concessions to China. One big concession Trump made to China, which is that the export controls on sensitive technologies from the US to China is going to be lifted. The Trump administration, however, hinted at how desperate it is to restart the flow of critical minerals from China by offering to partially remove one of the biggest sources of leverage against China, export controls on sensitive technologies. So the big concession that Trump made is to partially remove the export of sensitive technologies to China. And in return, you have the same deal from a month ago. And China is going to be lifting whatever bans it had on rare earth minerals to the United States. Trump trade deal shows how vital China's rare earth metals are to U.S. defense firms. Draft agreement may reassure top U.S. military suppliers after president's tariffs flip-flopping, threatening production. So I'm not sure when China started to block the rare earths to the United States. I believe they blocked the rare earths when Liberation Day was announced, and when Trump placed the 125% or 145% tariffs on China. I believe one of China's retaliations was to start limiting access to the rare earths, the monopoly that it has on rare earths. And we're talking about 7 rare earths that the United States military absolutely needs, and which China has a monopoly on. And so I believe during last month's trade talks, I could be wrong about this, but China tentatively agreed to the lifting of these rare earths. And now we have the continuation of those talks. But the United States, Trump had to make the concession of lifting export controls on sensitive technologies in return to the lifting of the rare earths. So that's basically where we are with this trade deal. Not much has changed from last month, but we do know that Trump had to lift these export controls. Bessent, he put out a statement saying that China should not be allowed to export its way back to prosperity. So we have the Trump announcement that a deal has been reached. All that's needed is a meeting between Trump and Xi and some signatures. And you have Bessent, who is a China hawk, coming out with a statement saying that China should not be allowed to export its way back to prosperity. Quite an interesting statement from Bessent, huh? Trump really wants a meeting with Xi. He is really pushing for a meeting with the Chinese leader. And actually, there are reports which say that Trump, when he spoke to Xi, he invited him to D.C. But the Chinese leader and the Chinese government did not provide Trump with possible dates for a meeting. I believe in August, the 90 days runs out when both countries decided to reduce the tariffs from 150 to 145 to 55, and from 125 to 25% or 30%, whatever those numbers were, when they agreed to scale back the ridiculous 150% tariffs that they had on each other. They then put a 90-day timeline to get to a deal. Otherwise, the 145, 150% tariffs snap back for both sides, for Russia and for China. So they have until August to sign something, a bigger, a larger type of trade deal. So that's an update there. And we now turn to Project Ukraine. And we had another event taking place in Ukraine. There's always events taking place that involve Ukraine, that involve the Europeans. Zelensky's constantly traveling to Europe to take part in these events, traveling to collective West countries, to Canada soon, to take part in the G7. He's always going to these events that are taking place. And we also have events inside of Ukraine that are taking place, where you have European leaders traveling to these events. And we had the Ukraine Southeastern Europe Summit. That's the name of this event, taking place in Odessa yesterday. And this brought together the leaders of a bunch of Southeastern European countries. At this event was the new president of Romania, Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan was at this event. The Moldovan president, Maya Sandu, Annalena Baerbock Light, that is Maya Sandu. We had the leaders of Bulgaria, of Greece, of Croatia. They were all at the Ukraine Southeastern Europe Summit. What a ridiculous summit, man. They're all making money out of these events. All of them, all of these leaders, all of these elites. They're all making money out of these events that they organize. But the washing machine is spinning. That's why they love to have all of these events. It's a way to keep the washing machine spinning. But Alexander Vučić, the president of Serbia, he was also at this event. This is the third annual Ukraine Southeastern Summit. And Vučić has participated in all three. He made a point of saying that he has participated in all three of the Ukraine Southeastern European summits because he is getting a lot of heat for attending this event in Odessa. This follows the reports, I believe credible reports, that Serbian MIC companies, military companies, have been providing Ukraine with weapons over the past 2-3 years in this conflict with Russia. And so Vučić is getting a lot of heat, a lot of hatred for that report, for that news. And he was recently in Moscow for the May 9th Victory Day celebrations, Victory Day events. And I wonder what Putin told Vučić when they met privately on May 9th in Moscow. So Vučić understands this. He understands that he's getting a lot of heat for Serbia's involvement in the conflict in Ukraine against Russia. So he wanted to make a point of the fact that this is the third event for the Southeastern Europe Ukraine Summit that he has attended, and he also made a point of saying that he did not sign the final declaration this event. Every time they have one of these events, they produce some sort of communique or a declaration, which is basically all the participants support Zelensky, support Ukraine, support money and weapons to Ukraine. They support sanctions against Russia, and they condemn Russia's unprovoked war of aggression. That's what these communiques, these declarations always say at the end of these events. And Vučić came out with a statement saying that Serbia did not sign this declaration because Serbia does not agree with the wording, and Serbia will never place sanctions on Russia. It does not support sanctions against Russia. But Vučić, who is fashioning his foreign policy very much after the foreign policy of one Erdogan of Turkey, trying to play both sides off against each other and trying to walk that tightrope. Vučić did kiss up a lot to Zelensky at this event. There's one statement from Vučić where he's addressing Zelensky, saying that Serbia wants to play an active role in the reconstruction of Ukraine, and Serbia would be happy to help Ukraine rebuild or reconstruct one or two cities that Zelensky invites Serbia to take part in the reconstruction of. That's pretty much what Vučić said. I may be getting some of it a bit wrong, but you could see that it was Vučić kissing the ring of the Green Goblin during that statement. But at the end of the summit, he made it a point to say that Serbia did not sign the declaration. Vučić, a student of the Erdogan School of Foreign Policy. It's a very dangerous foreign policy practice that Erdogan and Vučić practice, because when you sit on the fence or you try to walk that tightrope, you run the risk of getting burned. And Erdogan has been able to do this with skill. So far, Vučić has been able to do this with skill. He's been successful in doing this, but he has been getting burned lately. Of course, Serbia, we all know, is in a very difficult position, in a much more difficult position than Turkey, because Serbia is in a very volatile, difficult region, surrounded by a very aggressive, very hostile NATO. And then you have the issue of Kosovo as well, which is nothing more than a NATO base that they're trying to tear away from Serbia. So it is a difficult position that Vučić finds himself in. No doubt about that, to be fair to Vučić and his government. But anyway, that's the update from the third annual, or maybe it's the fourth annual, I don't know, the third or the fourth annual Ukraine, Southeastern Europe Summit, chaired and hosted by the Green Goblin. So the Senate, they were speaking with Hegseth on Project Ukraine, and Mitch McConnell, he told Hegseth, look, we need to win in Ukraine. Ukraine needs to win. We need to defeat Russia. We've poured a lot of money into Project Ukraine. And as the world superpower, we cannot allow Russia to defeat Ukraine. That is what McConnell told Hegseth. Sunk cost fallacy coupled with neocon unipolar primacy beliefs. Unipolar primacy doctrine, I guess you could say. That is what Mitch McConnell, who is still pushing for war, still in the Senate, still pushing for war at 120 years old. Mitch McConnell, we need to win in Ukraine, no matter what it costs. That is what McConnell said. And Hegseth said, we need to recognize that whatever happens on the battlefield, the better outcome is a negotiated peace. Hegseth's way of admitting that whatever the U.S. sends to Ukraine, whatever weapons, whatever money, they cannot win. So Kuleba, the former foreign minister of Ukraine, he gave an interview to the very reputable UK media publications known as, or at least the very reputable UK media publication known as the Metro. And the Daily Star also picked up on this interview from the Metro of Kuleba, and they're both running with this title: British mothers have to accept their sons will have to die for NATO. And the Daily Star is running with the title: Brit mothers have to accept sons will die for NATO, as Germany warns of Russian attack. So Kuleba told the Metro in this interview, mothers in Britain will soon have to make an inconceivable choice: send their sons to fight against Russian soldiers in Europe, or suffer this end of NATO, Ukraine's former foreign minister has said. Dmytro Kuleba issued the warning only a few hours after Kiev faced what he described as the worst drone assault since the start of the invasion. He spoke to Metro exclusively about Putin's goal to expose the falsehood of the collective security commitment that binds members of the military alliance and Europe's weaknesses. Right, Putin's going to send little green men to Estonia in order to expose Article 5, the weakness of Article 5. Therefore, UK needs to send their sons to fight Russia. Otherwise, Russia's going to expose NATO's weaknesses and NATO's defeat in Ukraine, and we cannot have that. It's a binary choice, according to Kuleba. Either UK goes to fight Russia, or NATO suffers a humiliation and a defeat in Ukraine. You decide. Which one? Which one is it? I think this is a very easy, simple choice. It's not really a binary choice, but, you know, these warmongers, they like to frame things in terms of binary choices. You could just accept Istanbul Plus and preserve Ukraine, you even preserve access to the Black Sea with Istanbul Plus. But Ukraine becomes neutral, and there you go. End of the conflict. Zelensky goes in an election, war is over. Ukraine is neutral. You get a new government. You lose the regions that Russia considers theirs, but you still retain access to the Black Sea. You still retain Odessa. You still have Odessa. But nope, it's a different binary. It's either NATO suffers and is humiliated, or the UK goes to war against Russia. If that's the case, if that's the binary that's being presented, then the option, the choice of these two options is crystal clear. NATO is humiliated and suffers. And if NATO is humiliated and suffers and goes away, then even better for the UK, because they can take all the money that they waste on NATO, which is money wasted. You take all of those billions, those tens of billions of pounds that's wasted on NATO and the NATO warmongering and the NATO bureaucracy, and you spend it on the citizens of the UK. It's like a win, 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 win all the way around. So yeah, you take option 2, which is NATO humiliated, suffering, and possibly closing down. Speaking of Odessa, Zelensky, during the Ukraine Southeastern European Summit, he said that Russia wants to destroy Odessa. That is what Zelensky said in his speech. Russia wants to destroy Odessa. Russia wants Moldova. He also said Russia wants Romania. Everyone should support Ukraine into NATO. Everyone should support Ukraine into the EU. That was Zelensky's speech. Give me money, give me weapons. Podolyak, good speech. That was what Zelensky said in Odessa. He's panicking. He's panicking because he realizes that by turning down Istanbul Plus, he is going to lose Odessa. He's going to lose the Black Sea. So in some other news, how are we doing on time? Yeah, let's wrap this video up. In some other news, we had Marco Rubio and the U.S. State Department congratulate Russia on Russia National Day, Russia Day, which is today, June 12th. The State Department posted, on behalf of the American people, I want to congratulate the Russian people on Russia Day. The United States remains committed to supporting the Russian people as they continue to build on their aspirations for a brighter future. We also take this opportunity to reaffirm the United States' desire for constructive engagement with the Russian Federation to bring about a durable peace between Russia and Ukraine. It's our hope that peace will foster more mutually beneficial relations between our countries. And when the State Department posted this congratulations to Russia on Russia Day, pro-Ukraine accounts on X absolutely freaked out. They posted messages like, "What the actual F?" in response to these well wishes for Russia on Russia Day. Very upset with the fact that the State Department is congratulating Russia on its National Day, on the celebration of Russia Day. This is coming from pro-Ukraine accounts. We're also getting an update that the 1,200 soldiers, the fallen soldiers that were on the contact line that Russia was waiting for Ukraine to take, have been accepted by Ukraine. They have finally been accepted. And in return, Ukraine sent the remains of 27 Russian service members. Ukraine has finally, after about a week plus, maybe 2 weeks, about a week, Ukraine has finally accepted their fallen soldiers so that they can give them a proper burial. And this was done in a very quiet way. Not many reports from the collective West media about the fact that Ukraine has finally accepted the 1,200 soldiers that were at the contact line in refrigerated trucks. And there's another 4,800 soldiers, according to Russia, 6,000 total soldiers, about 6,000 soldiers that Russia has properly identified and documented that it wants to return to Ukraine in a humanitarian gesture so that they can be afforded a proper burial by their families. So that's an update on that news. And finally, a clown world for today. This is coming from the X account of Brian McDonald, who posted, "Western media loves spinning fantasies about Russia. Daria Serenko is not the woman Putin fears most. Let's be honest, he's almost certainly never heard of her, and he's probably not losing sleep over feminist book clubs in Moscow." The Daily Beast posted an article with the title, on June 9th, with the title, "Meet the woman who Vladimir Putin fears the most. Struggling to break Russia's almighty male state. 32-year-old feminist Daria Serenko poses a dire threat to the Kremlin." Yeah, I think not. I don't think the Kremlin is worried about Daria. I agree. I don't think Putin even knows who Daria is. But boy, are they desperate to find a replacement to Navalny. I guess Yolanda Navalny is not working out, and so they're looking for a new opposition to Putin, at least an opposition that they can put out stories like this, propaganda like this. That's what they're looking for, so that they can spin these types of propaganda narratives. What is the Daily Beast saying? Russian President Putin's most targeted internal enemy is not a terrorist, a mutineering general, or an outspoken politician in the mold of Alexei Navalny. Instead, she is a quiet, soft-spoken poet with asymmetric hair and a vivid tattoo of a rose on her neck. But Daria Serenko is, without a doubt, the woman Putin fears most, and one he seems intent on destroying because she represents a stunning challenge to his hyper-masculine vision of Russia. Her feminist anti-war resistance movement, founded on the second day of the war in Ukraine, February 29th, 2022, galvanized women to speak out against the war in Ukraine. The group, which has been banned by the government, now involves thousands of women in 80 cities across Russia. Serenko struggles to break Russia's patriarchal code and is thus in danger, even in exile. She's trying to break hyper-masculinity in Russia. Putin's hyper-masculinity, patriarchal society. Amazing, absolutely amazing. So she's also the founder of FemDacha, which is a feminist retreat on the outskirts of Moscow. A dacha, for those who are not familiar with the term, is a holiday home, a summer home, a country home. That is what a dacha is, and she founded FemDacha, which sounds like it's worth a visit. Sounds like visiting FemDacha would be a good time. I don't know. It's worth a visit. If you're in Moscow, definitely check out FemDacha. She also made the top 100 women's list from the BBC. Interesting. The BBC put her in the 100 women list of inspiring and influential women from around the world. So no surprise that the UK has placed her on a top 100 list. Oh boy. All right. We'll end the video there. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.